We're happy to announce the arrest of 2 individuals in the Brian Simpson homicide investigation. The 2 individuals are, to your right here or to my right, Henry Jones Jr., 23 years of age, 7/28 of 1988 for a date of birth. Address is 1150 24th Street, Southwest Vero Beach, Florida. His charges are first-degree felony murder, armed burglary of an occupied dwelling with assault and battery, armed burglary with a deadly weapon. Second individual arrested, Darious Robinson, age 16, date of birth 2/15 of 1995, address of 2350 10th Road Southwest, Vero Beach, Florida as well. His charges first-degree felony murder and burglary of an occupied dwelling. This was a cowardly and senseless act by these 2 perpetrators. Brian Simpson was a husband, a father, a son, a brother, and a friend, and he will be deeply missed by this community. Before I take questions, I want to thank a number of individuals and agencies, if I may. I first want to thank our outstanding investigative team led by Detective Lieutenant Matthew Harrison and Detective Sergeant David Pusher, crime scene technicians Kelly Hare and Christy Langelo, all of my staff and all the officers here at Vero Beach Police Department as well. I would like to thank the 19th Judicial Circuit State Attorney Bruce Colton, Assistant State Attorney Stephen Gosnell, State Attorney Investigator Edward Aarons. Also, Indian River County Sheriff Darrell Lohr, Patrol and Investigative Divisions, Crime Scene, specifically Sergeant Kyle King, and Deputies Rob Newman and Anthony Desis. Also, their team of victim advocates, and especially Detective Milo Thornton. Also, I would like to thank Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw. We had the assistance of our Persons of Interest sketch by forensic artist Paul Moody. Questions?
Chief, these men were picked up Monday morning, is that correct, on the loitering charges? Is that correct?
Monday morning, it was early Monday, I think midday or so, yes. You got to forgive me, we've been up since yesterday morning. So, yes, it was midday or so.
Where
yes.
Did you find them? Where
we located the individuals, I believe it was in the 400 block of Indian Lilac, Central Beach.
Were they doing something wrong? Were they just walking around? Were they at home?
They were. We got a call from 2 concerned citizens and one of our local mailmen in reference to suspicious individuals. And we responded, made contact with the 2 individuals.
What made them suspicious?
They were walking in and out of properties. They couldn't really tell us what they were doing there, where they were coming from. They had parked their motorcycle at a distance, and he had been riding around on it prior. They just could not dispel our fear as far as what they were doing, where they were going, and the manner that they were acting.
Are these men involved in any other burglaries in the area, in that neighborhood? As far as near Brian Simpson's home?
Right. Right now, we don't know that they're related to any other burglaries. We're certainly investigating, and we're doing a lot of follow-up with this case, so something may come of that. We're recovering property. We're evaluating a lot of evidence. So things like that, further investigation may reveal that they're involved in other burglaries, but not necessarily in that immediate area at this time.
Have you guys been working a lot of burglaries in that area?
We have had some burglaries, and I spoke about it the other day. We had some car burglaries. We had one next door last month or so. It was a car burglary. I think some golf items were taken. And we had some north of there. I think there was approximately 8. And we're working on a suspect as well. We don't believe that these 2 individuals are responsible for the burglaries I'm referring to.
For these individuals, what transitioned them from being looked at for these loitering charges to being suspects in the homicide?
Right. Well, we sent out our persons of interest sketch. We had physical description. We had crime scene investigation that has revealed a number of things as far as evidence that we are processing, and we have recovered property that was taken. We learned today that there was jewelry taken from the property, and we have recovered it. And that was through search warrants. We've done a number of search warrants, and we're actually doing search warrants as we speak. We're still continuing the investigation. We're working on a number of leads.
So you found jewelry from the Simpson home in the possession of these two men?
We found jewelry from the Simpson home at a location where one of the defendants advises it would be, at a home.
So are they cooperating with you guys? Are they admitting to this? Are they...
Currently, the younger male is cooperating. Yes.
Admitting,
Yes. Yes.
admitting that he was part of it?
Yes.
Anything you can say about any sort of abandoned house where maybe either any of this property or any of the other properties from any of the other burglaries? No?
Currently, no. No.
So as the timeline goes, you guys release these sketches. Within a couple of hours, someone reports suspicious people in a certain area, and you were able to pick these guys up, and you guys are looking at these guys thinking, I think these are our suspects. Is that the way it went?
It is correct. We were working on our investigation and diligently following up leads, and this information came in. We, of course, stopped what we were doing and focused on the two individuals, and that's how we led ourselves to the...
But weren't these men picked up before the press conference yesterday?
These men were picked up, I don't recall the exact date.
At 3 o'clock, I
Yeah.
brought up
They-
the fact that the men
yeah.
were picked up.
Yeah. And I believe, if I didn't tell you, and I believe I did tell you actually, that we were looking at them in relation to this case. At the time of the press conference, we didn't have a confirmation.
Yes, so they were picked up before this
They
case
were.
was released.
Right.
Any idea what brought them back to the island 4 days later? Was it that they were looking for items that they may have dropped, or
We feel they were coming back to look for something
that possibly came from the Simpson home?
that came from the Simpson home or that they brought. We're not sure at this time, and that's one lead we're certainly following up. And we hope to find out as far as that goes. Yes.
Do you think there's anyone else involved in anything to arrest? Are you still looking for people? Do you think there were just two people?
We think there were the two that arrested. That's who we think committed this crime.
Do you know who was the shooter of the two, or if both had guns?
We believe at this time the adult was the shooter. Correct.
What was the role of the 16-year-old, do we know?
Well, they both arrived via a motorcycle that we had described and a witness described, and they parked that under the Barber Bridge. From there, they walked, and we were, a number of witnesses described them, and that's how, again, we came up with our persons of interest description. We had individuals that they walked by or they drove by, and in their descriptions, we were able to come up with our persons of interest sketch. And they made their way through the neighborhood. They stole 2 bicycles on Fiddlewood, and they proceeded eastbound to the residence.
So you're saying that they have stolen things, including at the Simpson home, however, you don't think that these other burglaries in that neighborhood at this time, that they have anything to do with it? So are you looking for other people at this time involved in any other crimes in that neighborhood? Because a lot of the residents were just speaking about...
Sure,
burglaries
and
as well.
I'm meeting with them this evening, actually.
Right.
And again, we don't know for sure, and there's some burglaries to the north that we don't believe they're related on. We have some ideas of some leads that we're following up, and we hope to do something with that. And I also mentioned that we had some car burglaries South Beach that we did make an arrest on a white male, Paul McDonald, a few weeks back. I think 4 charges on a car burglary. So did they commit crimes over there? I cannot say no for sure.
Is there any indication as to why the Simpson home had been targeted?
Well, specifically, we believe, you know, that there was no vehicle in the home, and they took their time as far as walking around, looking, and I think that was probably one of the parts of it. There was cars to each home on either side of the house. It appeared that someone was home, and in this case, when they entered the property, there was nobody home via a vehicle, and unfortunately, Mr. Simpson came home thereafter their entrance and interrupted the burglary.
Where was Mr. Simpson coming from? Was he coming home from work, coming home from...
Mr. Simpson was out doing some work not far from the residence, yes, and then came home.
And so when, clearly the community played a pretty big role in helping come forward with descriptions. Can you comment on that at all?
I sure can. Again, in our canvassing, we were able to obtain the descriptions. We did have call-in leads from the community. And then yesterday, It was, again, two citizens and a mailman that spotted them, and again, it was pretty much based on our description, and we went from there.
Have you talked to
Do
Mrs.
they
Simpson?
have criminal records, these two people?
To my knowledge, the male adult has an extensive criminal history. The male juvenile does not.
How far is the location from where you guys picked them up in regards to Brian's home?
Well, Fiddlewood to Indian Lilac, so it's alphabetical. It would go Gray Twig,
So a couple blocks.
yeah, 3 or 4 blocks, something like that. I'm trying to remember all the streets over there.
Have you talked to Mrs. Simpson?
Gray Twig Holly or so. I'm sorry?
Have you talked to Mrs. Simpson?
Mrs. Simpson and her family members were the first to know this afternoon.
And what's your reaction?
She was very, very happy from the efforts from the Vero Beach Police Department, very happy that it was a quick arrest. Of course, still saddened as expected.
And do we know how the two suspects knew each other? Has the 16-year-old provided that information? Were they friends?
I believe through acquaintances and friends, yes.
Gang related? I mean, are they involved in gang or anything like that locally?
To my knowledge, we don't have any gang-related information on these two individuals right now.
Has
Was
a murder
Mr.
wor-
Simpson shot through the bathroom door?
Mr. Simpson was the individual that shot the firearm, shot through the, they were in the master bathroom, and the rounds were fired 2 through the door and 1 through the wall.
So were these suspects in the bathroom, or was Mr. Simpson in the
The
bathroom?
suspects were in the bathroom. Mr. Simpson was in the master bedroom on the other side of
So
the...
it's possible that he didn't even know what hit him, that he may not have even known?
We believe there was a brief struggle
Okay.
to some extent, but then again, there are 2 rounds that went through the door, and he was struck twice.
And when you say through the door, you mean literally through?
Through the door.
The door was closed.
Closed or partially closed.
So he may have never seen his killer.
Correct.
Has a murder weapon been recovered?
We're not at this time, and we're following leads in that regard as well with search warrants.
How many times was he shot, actually?
2 times, sir.
And were, he didn't say where he was shot?
The upper right arm and right clavicle area.
Any physical evidence at the scene, fingerprints or anything?
We've got extensive physical evidence at the scene, and we're evaluating that.
Did you find anything during the dive?
No.
Were the bicycles recovered
Yes.
under over in the...
The bicycles were taken from 536 Fiddlewood, and then they were, they actually, one had a basket on it. We believe the basket was recovered right from that resident. We believe they probably tore the basket off, not, a male driving a bicycle with a basket. And then they took the bicycle in their efforts to flee, and the bicycles we found between at the McWilliams boat ramp area, more or less between Indian River Drive and going under the bridge from the boat ramp at the Barber Bridge where they had parked the motorcycle.
Are you getting any indication of how they got off the island? Or did they leave the motorcycle or?
No, they drove a motorcycle.
And then came back on the motorcycle 4 days later?
Correct? Correct. And they parked it away as well when they were on foot because, of course, that it's a sport type motorcycle, Japanese style, and we all know that they create a lot of noise, and they're noticeable up and down residential streets by far.
And just to make sure we're clear, Mr. Simpson was in the master bedroom. The suspects went into the bathroom and shut the door and fired through the door.
We believe they
after.
retreated to some extent because they were in the master bedroom, and that's where they found the items that they did take.
Okay, and then went into the bathroom, shut the door, and began shooting through the door.
Shut the door at some point, yes.
Okay.
Given that they went there, I guess, multiple times on motorcycle and would go through the neighborhood on bikes or on foot, does it appear they were looking for small items to burglarize, but like, as you mentioned, jewelry as opposed to large electronics?
Yeah, what we found, at least today, were small items, jewelry type, coin type items, things like that, things that you can put in a small grocery type bag that we use nowadays.
Did you find a lot of?
Easy to get, easy to carry, small, not so
What
noticeable.
about the weapon that was used? Small caliber?
Small caliber.
Was it Mr. Simpson's or?
They brought the firearm into the house. That's why we have the charge of armed.
Just one firearm or multiple?
One firearm was used. There's a possibility of a second one as far as being in the house, but one was fired.
Have you recovered stolen property from a lot of other residents in that neighborhood at this point? Or are you still-
Well, we have property, again, we have property that, that Miss Simpson told us was hers, and there was some property that she couldn't identify. So we hope that we can link those. That's what a lot of the follow-up we have to do is some of the property that we obtain. Hopefully we can, it may lead us to other cases.
A big amount, a large amount of stolen property and jewelry we're talking about?
Today, no, and most of it was hers, and it wasn't even in her own words, it wasn't of great value on the costume jewelry line, but it was certainly her property and a good amount of it.
And back to the firearm, I think that you may have been cut off. You were saying that it was a small caliber. Do you have the firearm? Is that,
No, we do not.
okay, you're still looking for that?
I'd mentioned that we are still looking for that. We're following up some leads based on our interviews, and we're hopefully going to conduct a search warrant.
Could that be on the island? Could that be what the men were coming back to retrieve?
It could be, sure, yeah.
You indicated.
Unknown
the
at this
adult-
time.
Okay.
You indicated the adult has an extensive record. Can you give us categorize some of his charges?
I don't have it in front of me. I know it's burglary related, and I think there's some other charges as well.
Being extremely violent like this?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Chief, you got a neighborhood watch meeting later tonight. Is there a message that you hope your officers will give to the public out at the watch
It's
meeting?
going to be me.
It'll be you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're happy to break the good news in that regard as far as the arrest goes, and I hope that, makes the community over on the beach side a little more at ease. And I can't tell you enough how dedicated the officers and detectives and employees here work day in and day out to do the things like we just accomplished. This took place Thursday evening, and we're done Tuesday afternoon. And again, outstanding job by all. And that's how we're going to work here. And we're just going to do the best we can to patrol the area, to respond to calls. And we do need people to call us when they see suspicious activity. Sometimes we get, oh, I thought it was a laborer or a lawn person, or I didn't want to call, and I didn't think it was different ideas and excuses. But call us for any little thing, and we spoke about that, I think, last week. Call us for anything. We'll respond.
Chief, can you switch over to the 18th Street home?
No, these men were wearing dark clothes, black, T-shirts, and either pant or that long three-quarter type style pant that goes down to the calf,
Okay.
dark shoes.
And then they were detained overnight on loitering or, wait, they weren't officially arrested on murder charges until when?
Today.
Till today? So
Right.
they were held
As we
overnight?
speak.
Okay, they were held overnight on,
The adult male had a habitual traffic offense, extensive traffic, and he was held overnight for a first appearance. And I apparently wasn't able to, unfortunately, and when we tried to keep it that way, that he couldn't bond out. We were in touch with the county jail and the system. And the juvenile was arrested and released to his mother. And then we arrested him the early morning, close to noon, or maybe 11 o'clock this morning.
today?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And was he brought back to the scene of the crime today?
He was. He was.
So they had first appearance yet, or do we know when that's happening?
No, that'll be tomorrow morning if they have the first appearance on the first degree murder charges.
Can you tell us